Hey there, puppers! Welcome back to another Beyond the Book. Today we are going to be looking at Alice in Wonderland. If you guys watched my last Beyond the Book with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I did mention that I was on a children's book kick, and growing up I really loved Alice in Wonderland, the cartoon version by Disney, and I'd never read the book before, so I really wanted to see how close it was, if it was very similar to the book or if it had a lot of creative liberties taken. So I went out and I bought a really pretty copy of Alice in Wonderland. It is shiny. And this copy actually has the original illustrations by John Tenniel. So, which I wasn't expecting to love as much as I do. I love that Alice is just completely done in all the illustrations. It really shows a lot of her character, and I think it was just a really nice little touch in the book to see those illustrations and be able to see the characters as they were originally intended to be seen. So for this one, I actually did it a bit differently than I usually do it. Normally, I will read the book first and then I rewatch the films. In this case, I actually watched the movies first and then I read both Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Now, the reason that I did that is because the two movies that I was looking into was the animated Alice in Wonderland from Disney, as well as the Johnny Depp version directed by Tim Burton. That was sometime in the 2000s. Forgive me, I don't really remember the date, but I believe it was like the mid-2000s that one came out. So those are the three that I'm comparing as the original text, the cartoon version, and the live action version. And both the cartoon movie and the live action movie say that it's based on the Lewis Carroll Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. So what I was assuming was that they took elements from both books and put them into the movie. So I really wanted to see which one the influence was heavier with. Either was it, Alice in Wonderland, or was it Through the Looking Glass that really created these films. So first and foremost, the biggest difference that I saw from the book to both movies is Alice's portrayal of her attitude towards being in Wonderland. So in the book, she is very confused the entire time. She goes, well, that doesn't make sense. I don't understand that. Why is it like this? And she just kind of goes with the flow, but she's very, as you can see from the illustrations, she doesn't quite care. She doesn't really want to be there. And that is literally every illustration. She just doesn't care. She is very passive, I guess, trying to find the right word there. But she just doesn't seem to give a hoot that she's in Wonderland. Whereas the cartoon, the animated cartoon version, Alice is more intrigued. She is kind of like, ooh, what's this? What's this over here? And then in the live action, Alice just assumes she's asleep the whole time. She's like, well, I'm dreaming, so cool, let's go for it. Why not? So I would say that's the biggest difference, is actually the personality of Alice herself. Most of the other characters are pretty spot on whenever it comes to their personalities, of just the Cheshire Cat is very kind of in and out, helpful but only to an extent, a little bit confusing, really kind of plays with riddles, but that stays the same. And of course the Mad Hatter stays the same, the March Hare, the White Rabbit, which, again, forgive me, it's been a couple of weeks since I finished all of this. It's been pretty busy here at Pupcorn. But the White Rabbit actually has a first name in the book, and I don't believe any of the other films call him anything other than White Rabbit or Mr. Rabbit, things like that. But he does actually have a first and last name, and his little waistcoat and pocket watch.
Don't just do something, stand there. No, go.
So which I thought was a really cute little detail. Now, one thing that I do appreciate that the films did that the book did not do, the films connect things. So as Alice is moving from one place to another place and meeting all of these different characters and going through all of these different things, what the film does, it connects those pieces of how she got from point A to point B. The book just kind of jumps around. It's quite confusing. I could see how this would be amazing for kids to read, where they don't quite think well, how did they get there? Where as an adult, I'm more or less well, wait a minute, she was over here before and now she's over here. She was talking to this character and now she's talking to this character. So I kind of thought too much on the book a little bit in that aspect of just kind of okay, I need more of the in-between of how we're getting to these places and doing these things and meeting these people. So that's something that both films did really well, is kind of the transitional aspect of point A to point B. Now, with the cartoon, I thought it was really, really interesting that they chose to include a lot of aspects from Through the Looking Glass. So it was Through the Looking Glass that we met Tweedledee and Tweedledum. It was Through the Looking Glass that we met a lot of these other characters. Except they did leave out a couple, like Humpty Dumpty, and they left out the Duchess. The only adaptations of Alice in Wonderland that I've actually seen the Duchess, and trust me, I've seen a lot of adaptations, and that would be Ouran High School Host Club, the anime. They did an episode where they kind of have an Alice in Wonderland-esque type episode where they include the Duchess and the baby. And then the only other adaptation I've seen the Duchess in has been American McGee's Alice, the video game, where the Duchess is actually a boss battle. So other than that, a lot of these films leave the Duchess out completely, and she was a massive part of Alice in Wonderland, the first book, where Alice actually saves her life. The Queen tries to decapitate her, and Alice spares her. The Duchess also has a baby at one point that turns into a little pig, which I think is kind of hilarious. But all of those are actually left out of both movies that I'm including in this review. Which I just think is kind of a shame. It would have been a really interesting aspect to see another kind of royalty opposing the Red Queen. I just think it would have been a nice touch for the cartoon. Because the cartoon, we don't see the White Queen at all. Whereas in the film adaptation, we do see the White Queen. Which is quite different again than it is in the book. In the book, they were played more as chess pieces, rather than like how Anne Hathaway did, kind of like this flourishy, eccentric queen. One of the other things that I really think is interesting is how in the live action adaptation, they really do utilize that aspect of like the chessboard. So at the very end, when the Red Queen is caught and she's sentenced, they're on a giant chessboard. The final battle takes place on a chessboard, and it really shows a lot more of the aspect of chess, which was a huge part in Through the Looking Glass, with the whole point of the story. Everything was based around chess pieces and a chessboard and things like that. I'm looking for a specific image here in the book that I really enjoyed, that kind of showcases that.
I'm waiting.
So I just thought that was a really nice image. The Queen actually, like, in a manner, kidnaps Alice. It's not really kidnapping, but she does, like, grab her and they kind of, like, run away. And she's dead set that she's gonna teach Alice how to be her minion. Which happens in the live adaptation, not quite so much in the cartoon. So I would think out of all of these, they all have that same whimsical, nonsensical type storyline, which is what Alice in Wonderland is really all about. Like, nothing makes sense. There's no rhyme or rhythm to anything, and I think that that's why it's so attractive to a lot of people, because it doesn't need to make sense. Whenever you're confused about something or why is that this way, it's, well, because it's Wonderland, and who cares? Like, it doesn't have to have a reason. I think out of all of them, the 2D animation is still my favorite. I think that it's a lot of rose-colored glasses nostalgia for that reason, because that's what I grew up with, and that's what I know Alice to be. Then I would definitely put the book second, and then the live action. Now, the reason I would do that, the live action takes a lot of liberties with giving, like, the Mad Hatter a sad backstory, and the choices that they make for what they take from Alice and what they take from Through the Looking Glass, I feel like just didn't work as well as the cartoon did. I think that Helena Bonham Carter did a great job being the Red Queen, but I think that there was also too much humanizing her in a way of being like, oh, she's different and she wants people around her to be different, so people are pretending to be different around her. Whereas in the book, as well as in the cartoon, she's ruthless for the sake of being ruthless, because she can. And I think that that's more of an intriguing villain than giving them some sort of story as to why they are the way they are. Sometimes we just need a villain to be a villain, and I've been kind of learning that as I've been reading a lot of these books and seeing like, oh, they don't have a long, sad backstory. They just are. And that's something that the live action film does. They give her more of a backstory as to why she's an evil queen, when I don't want that. I just want her to be bad. But I think that there's a lot of fun in all of it. If you haven't read the original story yet, I highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. It's very easy to kind of zone out while reading it, which I think is why this one isn't my number one pick, because I did find myself kind of like tuning certain things out. Like I would end up in one location and I'd be really intrigued, and then all of a sudden, you know, snap, we're in a different one, and I'd just kind of zone out and pretend that I'm still in the past area and what would happen more in that area. So it is a bit of a challenge as an adult to read it, because we tend to think too much about the books. But it is very, very close to the cartoon. It's a mashup of both. A lot of pieces of each are left out, but I think the big parts are all included. So, of course, you have the Red Queen and painting the roses red, and, you know, Alice herself, the White Rabbit, the March Hare, the Mad Hatter, of course. So you still have all of those wonderful characters, even though they do leave some of the characters out. And they kind of downplay some of the other characters, like the dodo bird. There's a lot of finesse in the movie with making it have a similar feeling and a similar vibe to the book. And I feel like a lot of that finesse was left out of the live action, and they kind of took more creative liberties to make it more suitable to the audience they were aiming for. You know, aging up Alice to be 19 instead of 7. That's a big difference. So the nonsensicalness is kind of lost. Alice is an adult, a 19-year-old, thinks differently than a 7-year-old, which is why I feel like they went with her feeling like she was in a dream the whole time, rather than understanding, oh, I'm in Wonderland and nothing here makes sense. So I definitely think all three share that whimsy, but if you're looking to kind of see for yourself different things that are left out, the book is fairly cheap anywhere you go. You can get it at your local library, things like that. I would definitely recommend check it out, and definitely tell me what you think of the illustrations, because some of them are just too good to to not share.
Well, there goes Bill.
But yeah, if you have a favorite book that has been changed into a movie or a TV show or anything like that, or one of your favorite childhood books or anything that you read as a kid, let me know, and you know, I'd love to read it. Again, I'm on a children's book kick. I still read tons of books throughout the year, so I'm still at around 12 to 15 books a month. So let me know what you're reading and what you want me to read and what you want me to review, and drop in the comments so that I can pick up the book and get started. But other than that, let me know what you think of Alice in Wonderland, how you would rank them. Again, it's the 2D Disney version, the Tim Burton directed version, and the original copy of the book. So let me know in the comments what you think of that, and I'll catch you in the next review. Toodles!